Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Oracle Wisdom. Sorry, I'm just changing my screens around. I hope you've all had a wonderful long weekend. I'm exhausted from the weekend. I don't know how you're all feeling, but it felt like a very long weekend. Aloha. Thank you for joining me for the live. I am sorry we are not going live on High Vibe tonight. At some point, I will learn how to stream to High Vibe, but in the meantime, I found a way to make it all work. And so here we are. Everyone will still get to watch it both here on YouTube and on High Vibe. So just before we get started, for everyone that doesn't know, I did do a monthly reading yesterday. That's up on the main page of the Weekly Oracle Wisdom YouTube page. And I did do pick a pile. And it's the first time I've actually ever done a pick a pile. And can I just say, the readings kind of blew my mind. So if you haven't checked them out, go and have a look at them. I thought they were great readings. So it's always interesting for me when people get in the comments and tell me which number they picked. So for everyone that has sort of embraced the pick a pile, I think we'll keep it going in the months ahead. I enjoyed just mixing it up a little bit and giving you guys a little bit of choice and control, I guess, over your reading, and also the ability to use your intuition as well to see which one you were most drawn to. All right, so let's get into it. As always, I'm starting with the Ascending Life Oracle, one of my favorite decks. I love Mahrukh. I have to stay off her Etsy because I struggled to go on there and not buy more decks. And realistically, if you saw the collection I had, I don't need any more. But she does do a good card. All right. Good news, messages, texts, phone call. Someone has something to say, needing to communicate clearly, be open to listening. So the fact that this is coming up when Mercury is finally direct is a good thing. You know, the communication is starting to pick up. We're still having a few delays because Mercury is still in shadow. Okay, the cards are just doing their thing. Man, a male friend enters your life, a male romantic interest. A man will assist you, a man will play a key role. So it could be the man that's delivering the good news. Uh, I don't want to say what pile it was, but there was a pile in the monthly reading that was, let's say, a love reading. I If you've been following me for long enough, you know I don't generally do love readings, but one of them was just absolutely a love reading. So that could be the man for those of you that are attracted to men. I was trying to think how to word that because it was about to come out very wrong. If you know me, that's not unusual. I normally say things that are inappropriate. Okay. But whoever this man is, there's obviously somebody coming in, or there is a man that is stepping up in a major way for you this month, regardless of whether it's romantic or not. There is going to be that key figure. Okay. Love offer, being asked out on a date, I can't read backwards, I'm tired. Love to the next level, positive new love coming in, a job offer you'd love. So I can't help but feel that these three are all tied together. So for those of you that are already in relationships, this could be leaning towards the job that you would love, whether it be an opportunity arises. If you're self-employed, I don't think it needs to be necessarily working for somebody else. It could be your own thing. But for those of you that are dating or ready for a relationship, it feels it feels like September is a really good month for there to at least be options for you, which is exciting because for some people it's been a while. Oh, okay. Toxicity. I feel like this card came out last week or the week before. Toxicity, toxic situations and people. It's time to purge having a toxic mindset, dead end relationships. So I know this has come out recently, if not in the last couple of weeks, in the last couple of months, without a doubt. So I remember when it came out saying, are you the one that's being toxic? So if it is you that's being a little bit toxic, have you corrected that behavior? Because the reality is we can always blame situations on other people. This is what they're doing, but then to do that is if you're always doing that, then it becomes a victim mentality and you don't want that. So if you have a toxic situation going on, and clearly there's a whole lot of it going on because we keep pulling the same card. And as I always tell you, this is a deck of 100 cards. And I shuffled for about 15 minutes before I went live because I was messing with a couple of things. So the fact that this keeps jumping out means this is something significant that we're all dealing with. So if you have a toxic situation, you have to deal with it. Because if you've been brushing it aside, not wanting to sort of step up and put an end to the situation, and look, I get it. If you're dealing with a toxic relationship of some sort, whether it be romantic, a family relationship, or a friendship, it's often very hard to stand up in those situations because things do get turned around. So it's clearly something that still needs attention. But again, if you're the one being toxic at all, it's time to pull your head in and actually do the work and either step away from the situation that you're putting yourself in, which is creating it. And I get it. There are good people that can become toxic in the wrong situation, but then it's up to you to remove yourself from that. And I say you can become toxic because what I learned a lot of years ago was when people that I'm not interested in try and date me and say, we're perfect together, and I know we're not. If I feel like I'm being forced into something, it's not that I become toxic, but I could very easily step into that role because I'm not happy. So being aware of that, I never allow things to get to that point. But I say it because it's easy for people to fall into that space. And if that's you, time to put an end to it, whether that be an end to the relationship, an end to behaving and reacting in such a way, because it's not helping you, it's not helping the other people, and you need to move on. I don't understand why we keep pulling cards that we have seen several times over the last sort of month or so. This card is potential. New business requiring hard work. Ideas have potential for growth. Your investments are paying off. A stable business steadily growing. So I know we pulled this a little while ago. So to me, this is confirmation that what you're working on is still there. It's still going, and you have to keep working. You have to recognize the potential that's there, but you can't quit, because obviously so if you have a look, this is essentially a little seedling that's starting to sprout. If you don't take incredible care of something when it's this size, it dies. So you have to keep nurturing whatever this thing is. When we pulled it the first time, I said, you've got to put in the hard work. You have to be prepared to do it. And anyone that has started a new business will tell you that initially you're meant to be able to work for 2 years and not make money. It doesn't mean you won't break even, but you have to be prepared to not make a profit because it takes time to establish the business. It's about building a really steady foundation. And so many people come up with these great ideas and they work for a short period of time. It doesn't, really take hold, and then they give up. Whatever it is you're working on, it's got the potential, but it's completely up to you as to whether it's going to work. The other thing is, are you being toxic about what this new project is? Because that's the other thing. Are you sort of sitting there feeling that it should be in a different space than it is? Man, this took a turn from all the love that we had at the beginning of this, didn't it? All right, we'll pull a couple more before we move on. Hey, at least this week won't be boring. There's a lot going on. All right. Teamwork, a partnership to complete a goal. Someone will come to your aid, expanding your network and delegating tasks. So it could be something as simple as you need help and you need to ask for that help. You cannot expect people to be mind readers. You have to ask for what you need. So be aware of that. And again, if you're not looking for a romantic relationship, it could be this man that comes in and is able to help you, I want to say, streamline what it is you're working on. But there's obviously work that needs to happen there this week. We do have a lot of planets retrograde, but Pluto's now back in Capricorn. And David has been saying for a while, and if you watch the live that we did from the studio on Friday night, towards the end of that video, he and I spoke, I think, for about 10 minutes about all the different astrological aspects we're dealing with, because Uranus is now retrograde. But he was saying that Pluto back in Capricorn, even though it's at the 29th degree and it's going to be stationing while it's at the 29th degree, it's the perfect time to sort of really finalize and get things lined up before Pluto moves into Aquarius for good. And we don't see it back in Capricorn. So it makes sense that this is a week where we've got to focus on work and focus on what we've been building, because the potential is there, but you need to work. So the final card from this deck is the World, completion of a major milestone, fulfillment of time and success, broadening your horizons, end of a journey. So I also feel, I'm going to add one more line to this. The world is your oyster. The world is at your feet. With this, you can have this. So do the work, and this is the ultimate goal and the ultimate stopping point. So I feel like everything is good in this coming week. I think we've got a few things going on in terms of personal relationships, and that's super exciting. And even if you're not ready for a relationship, if you're asked out on a date, just say yes, providing they're not a creep. Just say yes. Go out and just open your heart to the possibility of there being somebody or welcoming something new into your life. I went through a stage where I was saying to people, I never get asked out on dates. And when I sat down and reflected upon this, I realized that every time I was asked out on a date, I said no. And ultimately, the universe stopped providing. So I made a deal that the next person that asked me out, this is just a deal with the universe. But the next time somebody asked me out, I would say yes. The very next guy that asked me out, I said yes. It wasn't a romantic match, but it did start a period of time where I was regularly asked out, and I dated a whole bunch of people. And I eventually ended up in a relationship with a really good man. So whoever it is that's coming in, it doesn't need to be the one. Just open yourself up to it and open yourself up to the possibility of something that really could be really special. Um, so whether this man coming in is romantic or someone connected to work, embrace it, keep your eye out for him. And with work, work really hard. While we have, even though Pluto is retrograde, we have it in Capricorn. So take advantage of those energies. Because the astrology for the next, 5 years essentially is nuts before it really sort of slows down after 2030. So you need to take advantage of the moments that we have available to us and use them to the best of your ability. And in the midst of all of this, shut off the toxicity in your life, whether it be somebody else externally or whether it's you that's creating it. It's time to just nip that in the bud so we don't have to see this card again. All right, I am using Soul's Journey Oracle. I'm going to see what this brings through. And then we're going to finish up with a bit of shadow work because I was just feeling a bit shadowy today. Okay. Follow your calling. Attend to your life's purpose. So we for ages have been talking about gateways and being on the precipice of this new chapter and new path and deciding where you're going. You can see from the image in this card that she's going to the light. It's time to go to the good place. It's time to know in your heart and soul that what you're doing is something that will fulfill you. And if you're listening to your heart and soul and you know this is something you're meant to be doing, the potential is all there. So listen to that. Trust it, go with it. And just remember, sometimes these things take time to build. You can't expect it to happen immediately. And if there's people that can give you advice, even if it's not advice you want to hear, maybe it's something you have to hear. I know we don't like it when people don't tell us that everything we're doing is amazing, but maybe that's the toxic trait right there. Shifting the blame, accepting others for who they are. So many years ago, I was told, don't judge anybody else by your yardstick. And it is the best advice that I have ever been given because I still have moments where people do things and I go, why would you do that? I would do it this way. But the reality is they're not me, I'm not them. So we have to accept people for who they are and how they're showing up for us. And sometimes that means in relationships, things aren't working and it's not working because we're too different. We're not going to meet in a good place. And that's okay. That doesn't make the other person a bad person. Sometimes friends don't show up the way we need them or the way we need them to. That is, sometimes they're not capable in that moment because they've got other things going on. Maybe we know about those things, maybe we don't. But the reality is people always show us who they are. You have to accept that. And if people aren't showing up for you in the way that you want, no matter how it comes about, whether it's business, friendship, relationships, whatever it is, you have to take that on board and accept them for who they are. And if that doesn't work for you, that's fine. And you can walk away without them being the devil or an evil person or anything like that. Sometimes it's just they're in a different place. So, and we can't blame other people all the time. Sometimes it's a really simple thing and a really simple reason for why things aren't necessarily working. Okay, it would help if they don't stick together. Don't give up. Follow your vision boldly. I mean, it all comes back to we're getting the same message over and over and over again. So you have to trust what you're being called to do, and you have to follow through. But I think there's a certain amount of bravery that you need to have when doing that, because there'll always be the naysayers, there'll always be doubt, but you can't pave a path forward if you're not going into uncharted territory, if you want to do something new. So it seems like if you're going to do it, this is absolutely the week. I'm going to pull one more of these. One thing at a time, focus on a single purpose. You always, let me rephrase this. When you're working on something that's huge, and especially when it's a big vision, so you're going after something that's so completely huge. When you look at the end game, that's where you sit there and go, this is too much. I couldn't possibly get all of this done. And if you look at it that way, you're right. You can't get it done. If you take a moment and break it down and go, right, I need to get all the way over there. But in order to get there, there's a million things you have to do in between. So at that point, you break it down and you go, right, what are the smaller milestones? So you break that down and then you break it down again, so that you figure out how to get to the very first milestone. And all of a sudden, it's tiny little steps. And instead of focusing on the big picture, all you do is focus on the very first step you have to take, because then all of a sudden you're at the first milestone that you needed to make. And you look back and go, look at all that I did. And then you keep going. And again, you just focus on one foot in front of the other. So that's clearly the way that you need to approach things this week. Don't be overwhelmed by the overall picture. Just focus on putting one foot in front of the other, and before you know it, you'll be so far down that road and so much closer to the ultimate goal. That logic has gotten me through many terrifying moments in my life where I have had some bold vision and people have said, you can't do that. And I said, watch me. And then I've gotten myself into a position where I've gone, oh, this may have been a mistake. You know what? It never was a mistake. I just got scared. And each time I just put my head down and focused on those individual steps. Life-changing. So do not overwhelm yourself this week with that sort of worry. Don't be toxic towards yourself. You know, I keep talking about the toxicity in terms of it being aimed at others or being aimed at you, but maybe it's you just doing it to yourself. You putting the voice of doubt in your head. You telling yourself that you can't do it when absolutely you can. That's just fear talking. Okay, so guarded shadow. So when you're in shadow, closed off and you don't trust anyone, shut down guarded heart and trust issues. But when you work through that, your efforts to protect yourself is what's blocking you from the very thing that you want. Dissolve the barriers, which I think is perfect for everything that we've been talking about. You have to let your guard down in order to get everything that you've ever wanted. You've got to let your guard down in regard to whoever's coming in romantically, if that's what they're coming in for. You've got to let your guard down in terms of asking people for help. I hate asking people for help. It is the worst thing in the world. I'm an Aries, I'm a manifestor. I would rather just go and do what I need to do, but sometimes we need help. So time to let your guard down, and you can have the world. All right, I'm going to pull two more of these. All right, I'm going to pull the last one before I show you what just jumped out. So we've got insecure shadow. All right, I have to read it this way. Lacking self-confidence or assurance, fragile, need reassurance, and feels inadequate. Everything you need is within you, and you can handle whatever the world throws at you. So this comes back to you being toxic towards yourself, you telling yourself that you can't do these things. You absolutely can. It's all how you frame it. It's all how you put it together. Stop getting in your own way. And the final card is entitled shadow, having a you owe me attitude, self-centered, unrealistic expectations. Learn to stop expecting others to give you things that you can do for yourself, and you will accomplish so much more. We go back to this, shifting the blame. Accept these people for who they are and where they're at. I know sometimes people hurt us and we get angry, we feel some kind of way about it, but it's time to let all of that go. And this is really about operating at a higher frequency. People don't owe us anything. Everyone's here on their journey. Everybody is working their way through everything. So when you stop expecting things from others, and again, I realize that I've said to you, you need to be able to ask for help, and you do, but you can't do it with expectation. Asking for something is different to having that expectation. So it's time to let go of expectations. And if you ask somebody for something and they show up, but it's different to how you pictured it, you have to ask yourself, is that all they're capable of? Maybe they can't give you any more, or maybe you haven't communicated clearly what you need. So all of this goes two ways. I keep hearing the word humble. It's time to be humble and just work. Work on yourself, work on the things that are in front of you that you're passionate about. And when you go and ask for help, be humble about it, and you'll be surprised at who will show up. And let me tell you, the hardest moments in my life when it's almost killed me, but I have had to ask for help, the people that let me down, it's always hurtful, but the people that showed up have always blown my mind. People that I didn't even know were there to support me. So I feel like it's a good week, and I feel like there's a lot of action, but it's in a good and positive way. And I feel like things are good. So I hope this has resonated with some of you or all of you. As I say each and every week, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you haven't watched the September monthly reading, make sure you go and do that. I will attach the link below this video, but go and check it out. Pick a pile. Let me know which pile you picked. And I believe we're doing Full Disclosure, which is, of course, is only available on High Vibe. I believe we're doing it this Friday. David said we'll be in the studio. We'll see. If not, we'll find a way to make it work remotely if we need to. And I will see you all Friday. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.